feeling though. I mean, that's the only thing is if you imagine sitting by yourself at home that whole time, it's not really much better. At least this way you would have. Oh yeah, no, no. Do me a favor though. Tell people. Because people they have the wrong concept of it. Oh yes, that's the one thing. See, but you know what I forgot to tell you there is if you're in the city, it's now the world of the floor and everything in the world can be, you know? Yeah.
Even in the winter.
Whereas,
And I found out where the dining room was, like where the microwave was, and where the snacks were.
but part of the reason with the whole experience is so short because he wouldn't touch any of it. The whole thing is being able to eat it. So the only thing at the time he was eating was literally the chocolate donuts with Dunkin' Donuts. So every morning I would wake up and I would order, it wasn't the same thing in the world, but
No,
you know, it's got.
I was eating stuff I never ate in my life.
Oh, I love it. I love it. No, exactly. That's, you know, you become very, you know, very good in that way. All right. Nah, yeah. No, I know, if you missed it, that's the difference, right? Yeah, no, it's a little nutty already this week. You know, it's like, you know, maybe it's more of those little bits this time. Yeah, like, no, Sag Harbor is nice to see it. Like, you know, I basically, at this point in the year, I don't even really go into the building. It's like whatever I need to do, and that's the extent, but that's as far as I can.
Probably
You know.
won't see
Yeah, no, you know, but Saturday morning is great, you know, a different vibe, but hopefully.
No, we live in Greenport. Came from Greenport? Yeah. Okay. Oh, wow. Yeah, we can go straight every time we see another one.
quickly this room gets humid.
That's also the American Northeast.
Yes.
The
Also,
Northeast is so
I never realized that was a thing.
it's so
It's so
humid.
yeah.
It's like 75 degrees in New York feels like nothing compared to like 90 degrees in Jerusalem.
Oh God, I know. That's why I always love the the dry heat of things.
Feels fine.
Great. Excellent. Okay. All right. Now this is always the wonderful moment where I think I realize that we both have the same topic.
Well, now it's because of pride.
No, I know. But I like to think now though that no, and the reason I have this tallis is that my dad was watching the services, and my bar mitzvah tallis is by its nature is very plain, and he said, it washes out. It doesn't look good to have such a plain tallis. So then all of a sudden I get this wonderful tallis here. Let's see. All right, I'm just gonna go close that.
Yeah.
All right. Shabbat shalom, everyone.
Shabbat shalom.
Don't worry. Good Shabbos to everyone. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful night here. Beautiful night to celebrate Shabbat. Beautiful night to welcome our dear friend Rabbi Alan Levin back from his world travels, back where he belongs here at the temple. And of course, sitting beside us as he's going to help to lead our service tonight with our student cantor, Will. And as we all know, tonight we are celebrating in every sense of the word Pride Month. Now, the parade was several weeks ago, but we're celebrating here tonight, and I think it's a lovely way of extending, right? It's not one day, it is an entire month, and frankly, it should be a lot more than 1 month. And we started doing this at the temple, I'm not sure, this is our third year, I think, doing that. And it's really thanks very much to Rabbi Levin and bringing this, I think, to our community. It's such a gift. And you are such a gift. And I want to invite you up, if you wouldn't mind, to help to get us in the right mindset for our service tonight before we light Shabbat candles. And we're going to be moving around a little bit tonight, here and there and everywhere in between. So, Alan, it's all you.
All right. Thank you, Dan. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Pride is observed all around the world, sometimes with a day, a weekend, or even an entire month of celebrations. In commemoration of the Stonewall Inn riots in New York City in June 1969, June is the traditional Pride Month. In those years, homosexuality was against the law in many jurisdictions. But on June 28, 1969, after the New York City Police Department raided the Stonewall Inn in Greenwich Village, an historically open space for LGBTQ people, the LGBTQ community, led by transgender women March Johnson and Sylvia Rivera, fought back. This was a turning point for the gay community. Although gay and lesbian organizations had already been formed, the Stonewall riots gave shape to the notion that gay men and lesbians must stand up for their rights. Not every city observes LGBTQ Pride in June, but most communities have some kind of observance. To this day, in some localities, Pride parades or protest marches demanding protection from police harassment, entrapment, and civil rights. But more often, cities hold a parade and march for equality that may include festivals, artistic and musical performances, and educational workshops on LGBTQ issues. In an effort to show their support for the LGBTQ community, many corporations and companies show their own pride or solidarity by including into their logos a variation of the rainbow theme of the pride flag created originally by Gilbert Baker.
Alan, thank you so much for giving us that kavanah to bring us into this moment. And as we always do, we begin our Shabbat services by lighting and blessing our Shabbat candles. And this evening, we are honored to welcome up one of our great leaders and friends, especially board member Gail Gambino, who is going to light and bless our 2 Shabbat candles. And Alan is going to offer a kavanah just before those candles are lit. And Gail, I will.
Creator of light, source of wisdom, you know the depth of the human soul. As you filled this world with the glance of your presence, so let me fill my world with the calm wisdom that love does not ask what, but instead asks whom. As we watch these flames of memory and practice enlighten this space, may we remember all parts of our stories and make space for all that we are. Creator of light, source of wisdom, may your light fill every inch of our bodies, and may it exceed all forms. Yeah.
Blessing can be found on page 120.
Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, Gail. And we'll turn to page 130 as we join student cantor Will for Kabbalat Shabbat, again, beginning at the very top of page 130.
Lechu neranena l'Adonai naria letzur ishenu. Lechu neranena, lechu neranena, lechu neranena l'Adonai. Lechu neranena, lechu neranena, lechu neranena l'Adonai. Naria, naria letzur ishenu nekadma fanav betodah. Naria, naria letzur ishenu bizmirot naria lo. Lechu neranena, lechu neranena, lechu neranena l'Adonai. Lechu neranena, lechu neranena, lechu neranena l'Adonai.
We're now on page 131.
Shiru l'Adonai, shir chadash, shiru l'Adonai kol haaretz, shiru l'Adonai baruchu shemo, basru miyom leyom yeshuato, safru vagoyim kevodo, bechol ha'amim nifleotav, ki gadol Adonai, umhulal meod, norahu, al kol Elohim yaidai, shiru l'Adonai, shir chadash, shiru l'Adonai kol haaretz, shiru l'Adonai baruchu shemo, basru miyom leyom yeshuato.
We turn now to Or Zarua on the bottom of page 132.
Or zaru ala tzadik, uleishrei lev simcha. Or zaru ala tzadik, uleishrei lev simcha. Simchu tzadikim b'Adonai, behodu lezecher kodsho. Simchu tzadikim b'Adonai, behodu lezecher kodsho.
We'll turn now to page 134.
Zamru l'Adonai bechinor, bechinor v'kol zimra,
בחצוצרות וקול שופר, הריעו לפני המלך אדוני, זמרו לאדוני בכינור, בכינור וקול זמרה, בחצוצרות וקול שופר, הריעו לפני המלך אדוני, ירם הים ומלואו, תבל ויושביו, נהרות ימחאו כף יחד, הרים ירננו, לפני אדוני קיווה, לשפוט הארץ, ישפוט תבל בצדק, ועמים במישרים, ירם הים ומלואו, תבל ויושביו, נהרות ימחאו כף יחד, הרים ירננו.
We're now on page 135, the last Hebrew paragraph in the middle of the page.
רוממו אדוני אלוהינו והשתחוו להר קודשו, רוממו אדוני אלוהינו והשתחוו להר קודשו, כי קדוש אדוני אלוהינו רוממו, כי קדוש אדוני אלוהינו רוממו, רוממו אדוני אלוהינו והשתחוו להר קודשו.
We turn to the 29th Psalm on page 136.
מזמור לדוד, הבו לאדוני בני אלים, הבו לאדוני כבוד ועוז, הבו לאדוני כבוד שמו, השתחוו לאדוני בהדרת קודש, כל אדוני על המים, אל הכבוד הרים, אדוני על מים רבים, אדוני על מים רבים, כל אדוני בכוח, כל אדוני בהדר, כל אדוני שובר ארזים, וישבר אדוני את ארזי הלבנון, וירקידם כמו עגל, לבנון וסיריון, כמו בן רמים, כמו בן רמים, כל אדוני חוצב להבות אש, כל אדוני יכיל מדבר, יכיל אדוני מדבר קדש, כל אדוני יחולל אילות, ויחשוף יערות, ובהיכלו כולו מרכבות, כולו מרכבות, כולו מרכבות. אדוני למבול ישב, וישב אדוני מלך לעולם, אדוני עוז לעמו ייתן, אדוני יברך את עמו בשלום.
Lecha dodi likrat kala. Come, my beloved, to welcome Shabbat. Come, my beloved, we say to Shabbat. We turn and welcome her in. Sometimes we compare her to a bride, sometimes to a queen. Every time we compare her to a woman, and ourselves to a group of male lovers waiting for her to arrive. We don't get enough stories about women who are loved by women. We don't get enough stories about men who are loved by men. We don't get enough stories about lovers who are neither men nor women. We don't get enough stories in which love does not fade, in which we see ourselves as the lovers and Jews we are. We've been given something in Ruth and Naomi, in David and Jonathan, and in Joseph, something we hold and cherish, but that has been clouded, questioned, and hidden. We honor that, we honor them, but we want more and we deserve more. Every Friday we bow, and in front of us is more. In front of us is love. Love, however we feel it. Love that fills our Shabbat and our tradition that honors the lovers. Hitoreri, awaken, awaken. Be present, be proud, be here. At Sinai, God said, remember that I told Shabbat that the community of Israel is her mate. She keeps us holy, she keeps us warm, she keeps us safe. She reminds us that each of us is a lover. Every day, every Friday, we say, come, my beloved. And she responds, I have been here all along. I have shown you how to love in whatever way you do. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu yotzer haolam she'asani b'tzelem Elohim. Blessed are you, Adonai our God, creator of the universe, who created me in the image of God. The Chadodi can be found on page 138.
Lecha dodi likrot kala penei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrot kala penei Shabbat nekabela. Shamor vezachor b'dibor echad hishmianu El hameyuchad Adonai echad Ushemo echad l'shem utiferet Belitila lecha dodi likrat kala Penei Shabbat nekabela Likrat Shabbat lechu v'nelcha ki hi mekor haberacha merosh mikedem nesucha sof maaseh b'machshavat tchila lecha dodi likrat kala penei Shabbat nekabela hitoreri kiva orech kumi uri shir daberi kevod Adonai alaich nigla lecha dodi likrat kala penei Shabbat nekabela boi veshalom ateret bala gam besimcha uvetzolat emune am segula boi chala lecha dodi likrat kala penei Shabbat nekabela lecha dodi likrat kala penei Shabbat nekabela.
Please be seated. We're now on page 140, Tzadik Tamar, with the Hebrew indents in the middle of the page.
Tzadik Tamar Yifrach יזכה שתולים בבית אדוני בחצרות אלוהינו יפריחו עוד ינובון בשיבה דשנים ורעננים יהיו להגיד כי ישר אדוני צורי ולא עוולתה בו.
We rise in body or spirit for the Chatzi Kaddish on page 144 as we remain standing for the Baruch Hu on the next page. Yitkadal vehitkadash shemei Rabba
Amen.
ve'alma divrach chirutei v'yamlich malchutei v'chayechonu v'yomechonu v'chaye dechol Beit Yisrael ba'agala ba'agala uvizman kariv v'yimeru
Amen.
Yeheshmei Rabba mevarach ve'alam li'al me'al maya
Yitbarach
Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitbar v'yitormam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei dekudsha brichu leila min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata tamiran ve'alma v'yimeru
Amen.
Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach.
Baruch Adonai HaMevorach le'olam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai HaMevorach le'olam va'ed. Please be seated. Let's read together now on the bottom of page 149 in English. This is an hour of change. Within it we stand uncertain on the border of light. Shall we draw back or cross over? Where shall our hearts turn? Shall we draw back, my brother, my sister, or cross over? This is the hour of change, and within it we stand quietly on the border of light. What lies before us? Shall we draw back, my brother, my sister, or cross over?
Umavir yom umevi laila, umavdil ben yom uvein laila, Adonai tzevaot shemo, El chai v'kayam, tamid yimloch aleinu le'olam va'ed, Baruch atah Adonai, Ama'ariv Aravim.
Love wins. One day, the words coming out will sound strange. Oppression based on gender or orientation will be a memory. History to honor and remember the pain of hiding, repressing, denying, honoring the triumphs of those who fought to be free, remembering the violence and vitriol that cost lives. When love wins at long last, v'ahavta l'reacha kimocha, love your neighbor as yourself, will be as natural as breathing. V'ahavta l'reacha kimocha. One day, love will win every heart. Love will win every soul. Fear will vanish like smoke, and tenderness for all will fill our hearts. V'ahavta l'reacha kimocha. Love wins. In the end, love wins. Man for man, woman for woman, man for woman, woman for man. All genders, all orientations, all true expressions of heart. V'ahavta l'reacha kimocha. Let this come speedily in our day, a tribute to the many and diverse gifts from heaven, a tribute to love deep and true, each of us for one another. V'ahavta l'reacha kimocha. Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev amo Yisrael.
Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad.
Please join us on page 154.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודך והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ושוכבך ובקומך וקשרתם לאות על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם המזוזות ביתך ובישעריך למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים אלוהיכם אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם אלוהים אני אדוני אלוהיכם
Adonai Elohechem Emet. Read together in English on the top of page 157. Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before ever we stood at Sinai's foot, that wherever we go it is eternally Egypt, that there is a better place, a promised land, that the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness, that there is no way to get from here to there except by joining hands and marching together. As we turn to Mi Chamocha on the top of page 158.
מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נדר בקודש, נורא תהילות תוסף אלה, נורא תהילות תוסף אלה. מלכותך ראו בניך, בוקע ים לפני משה ומרים, זה ליאנו ואמרו, זה ליאנו ואמרו, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. ונאמר כיפד אדוני את יעקב, וגלום יד חזק ממנו, ברוך אתה אדוני, גאל ישראל.
Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Adonai, help us to walk with good companions, to live with hope in our hearts and eternity in our thoughts, that we may lie down in peace and rise up, waiting to do your will. Hashkivenu is on the top of page 160.
Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leshalom vehamidenu shomereinu lechaim. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leshalom vehamidenu shomereinu lechaim. Ushmor tzeitenu uvoenu lechaim ushalom me'ata ve'ad olam. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leshalom ve'hamidenu shomereinu lechaim. Baruch atah Adonai Haporei sukat shalom aleinu ve'al kol amo Yisrael ve'al Yerushalayim.
We turn to Ashamru on the top of page 162.
Ve'shamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל, אותי לעולם, אותי לעולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. וביום השביעי שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם.
Invite us now to rise in body or in spirit as we begin the Amidah together on page 164. From that point on, we'll continue silently. As always, please go at your own pace, and when you're finished at the end, if you're still standing, you may be seated.
Adonai sefatai tiftachu fi agit tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Ose shalom bimromav, uyase shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel. Ose shalom bimromav, uyase shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel. Ose shalom bimromav, uyase shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel. Ose shalom bimromav, uyase shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imeru. Amen.
We turn now now to page 371 as we offer our Misha Berach, our healing prayer for this evening. And before we read our list, of course, we're thinking of our loved ones, both those that we know and those that we are connected to in the land of Israel, who, again, have another week of suffering. And many of the people in this room know very specific people who spent most of this week in shelters. And while there are some that have been physically injured, there is also another piece of it, right? There is an emotional, there is a mental state as well for everyone. Every time that they hear a siren, every time they have to go into the bomb shelter, there is healing of many kinds that we ask for in this Misha Berach. So in addition to those, again, in our community that I'll read in just a moment, we make space in our hearts for, again, those in Israel that we know are suffering greatly. In our community tonight, we're thinking of Ronnie Lidowitz, and also, even though she's back in the room, Rona Klotman. Very happy, Rona, that things are getting better. Wow, I like that. I think there's, these are the things to applaud for sure. Madeline Egelfeld, Sue Wartor, Abigail Blum, Kate Sherwood, Ame and Warren Cass, Rivka Bat Rachel, Lorraine Danis, David Dowling, Sylvia Devora Bat Francis, Shelley Newmark, Diane Axelrod, Gabriella Spicer, David Kyle Klopman, Lorraine Davis, Kim Birnbaum, Deborah Block-Kroll, Sylvia Orn, Rachel Bat Ora, Peretz Ben Shlomo, Israel Ben Yitzchak, Jill Fagan, Stan Posner, and Alona Bat Rachel. In addition to those names that I just shared, we'll give an opportunity for those in the room. If you'd like to add additional names, we'll start on this side of the room in the front towards the back, and then this side of the room. If you have names to share, please just raise a hand so I don't miss anyone.
Jill Butterly, Ryan Eisenberg.
John Emanuel, Jeff Emanuel, Don Gaspar,
Carrie Riley and Adas Israel.
Archie Topowski, Diane Schwartz, Lori Kenny, Mario and Rodman, Judy Liston, Lauren Meredith Berger, Dottie, Kevin Major, Karen Eckhart, Lisa Cotter, Ron Feinberg, Mother Honey, Adrian Berger, Kathy Gray, Susan Barron, and John Capella.
Hachazan Benjamin Ze'ev Ben Rivka Chaya.
Of course, we invite those watching at home to add the names of your loved ones as well, and we'll join together where student cantor will on page 371 in the middle of the page.
Mishe berach avoteinu mekor habracha leimotenu. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Mishe berach imotenu, mekor habracha avotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
A coming out prayer for LGBTQ people and those who love them. O God of truth and justice, the evasions and deceits we practice upon ourselves and others are many. We long only to speak out and to hear the truth, yet time and again, from fear of loss or hope of gain, from dull habit or from cruel deliberation, we speak half-truths, we twist facts, we are silent when others lie, and we lie to ourselves. Whether we are lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, or questioning, family or friends, we sometimes feel forced to pretend to be that which we are not, to present ourselves in ways that are not truthful, and sometimes with outright lies. But as we stand before you, Adonai, our words and our thoughts speed to one who knows them before we utter them. We do not have to tell untruths to you, as we are often forced to do in the world. We know we cannot lie in your presence. May our worship help us to practice truth in speech and in thought before you, to ourselves and before one another. And may we finally complete our liberation so that we no longer feel the need to practice evasions and deceits. And let us say, Amen.
Amen.
And now we offer our prayer for Israel in time of war. Eloheinu v'Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu, our God and God of our ancestors, you know that the Jewish people are one nation with one heart, and now that heart is broken. O healer of broken hearts, binder of their wounds, be with our brothers and sisters who've been taken captive and with the families of the victims. Watch over the hostages, break their bonds, and bring them out from darkness to light. Proclaim release to the captives, a liberation to the imprisoned. Comfort the families, bring them under the shelter of your wings. Bring complete healing of body and spirit to all of the wounded. Bind up our wounds and grant us healing. Tzur Yisrael v'Goalo, Rock and Redeemer of the people Israel. Bless the state of Israel, the initial manifestation of our redemption. Shield it with your care, spread over it your shelter of peace. Guide its leaders and advisors with your light and your truth. Grace them with your good counsel. Strengthen the hands of those who defend us. Crown their efforts with victory. Bless the land with peace, its inhabitants with lasting joy. Shomer Yisrael, guardian of Israel, strengthen and bless the defenders of Israel who stand guard on the land, in the air, and on the sea. May we see the promise of the psalmist realized. You turn my mourning into dancing, my sackcloth into robes of joy. God, protect, preserve, and restore peace and well-being to Israel, your people, and together we say,
Amen.
Amen. It is now my privilege to turn the mic and the bima over to my friends, to my colleague, to one of our great leaders, Rabbi Alan Levin, to deliver our remarks for this evening.
Shabbat Shalom. Once upon a time, a large group of Israelite slaves left Egypt, a land where they were consigned to a life of bitterness and limitation. They crossed the Reed Sea, where they experienced an intimate encounter with a divine force who split the waters open before their very eyes. They traveled to a place called Sinai, a small mountain in the midst of a desert wilderness, where this same energetic divine force spoke to them amidst a tumult of thunder, lightning, fire, and earthquake. It was an exciting day, replete with the revelation of an extraordinary future. They then traveled to the border of a promised land, a land flowing with milk and honey, where they intended to live. They sent a dozen people to scout out the land. These spies came back with an extraordinary report. The land was indeed flowing with milk and honey, and it was rich and fertile, so much so that a single cluster of grapes took 2 men to carry it. It was a charmed place. But the land was inhabited by other people, powerful giants who lived in strongly fortified cities. Most of the spies were sorely afraid. They told their people that we looked like grasshoppers to ourselves, and so we must have looked to them, the giants whom we saw. 2 of the scouts felt differently, however. These 2 were excited by the prospect of living in this new land, and they felt sure that the Israelites would be protected from any danger. After all, a divine presence was visible to them all, hovering over a tabernacle that had been built in the desert and moved with them from place to place. Try though they did, though, these 2 scouts could not convince their people, a people consumed by fear and uncertainty, reluctant to be pushed out of their comfort zone any further. Sadly, that generation of Israelites never made it out of the desert. Their fears and doubts paralyzed them. It was, in fact, their children, the next generation, who 40 years later entered and settled in the land of Israel. This is the story of Parshat Shalach, our Torah portion for this week. And it's a really interesting story. I'm fascinated by the overwhelming sense of fear and doubt in the Israelite people. It was not an easy journey. Every step along the way, they faced challenges and obstacles. An Egyptian army hell-bent on killing them all. A lack of food and water. Rearguard attacks from their enemies while wandering in the hot, dehydrating conditions of a desert wilderness. Yet they overcame each challenge, perhaps even marveling at their own resilience, if not divine providence. But then, at the very beginning of their new life, glimpsing the extraordinary benefits of a more expansive future, they were paralyzed by fear, anxiety, and confusion, reluctant and unwilling to take the necessary leap of faith into a brave new world. Fear, anxiety, confusion. These are powerful emotions, emotions that can change one's destiny. I think a lot about these dark emotions nowadays. They're palpable in the Middle East right now, as Israel and Iran fight a war whose trajectory is far from certain. It is a war that I hope will redraw the map of the Middle East, opening a new, expansive, and safer chapter in Israeli history. And I pray that innocent Iranians and Israelis will be spared the suffering that so often accompanies protracted warfare. Fear, anxiety, and confusion are palpable in the United States right now. White nationalism is on the rise, bringing with it a toxic anti-Semitism. An anti-Semitism that is increasingly cloaked in acts of violence and destruction. And this anti-Semitism on the right is matched by a rising anti-Semitism on the left, with daily protests against Israel, protests which often take on an anti-Semitic tone. Anti-Zionist has become a sanitized slur for anti-Jewish, as the students at Columbia University wrote last spring after a year of campus unrest and agitation. A golden age of American Jewry has come to an end. And for the rest of our lives, the specter of a lurking anti-Semitism will continue to haunt us, much as it did for generations of Jews up until fairly recent times. Fear, anxiety, and confusion are often the companions of any journey into a new and uncertain future. It's appropriate that we read this week's Torah story during the month of June, LGBTQ Pride Month in the United States. For just as a Jew's journey is fraught with fear right now, so too is the journey of a queer individual who is struggling to come out. We leave the closet, our personal Egypt, a domain of limitation and constraint. We've had a revelation about ourselves, greater clarity about who we are and whom we love. We dare to journey in search of a promised land, one flowing with the milk of human kindness and the honey of loving affirmation. Along the way, we face meaningful challenges: fear of rejection, societal stigma, safety concerns, lack of support, cultural and religious pressures, concerns about relationships, misunderstanding and misinformation, and our own internalized homophobia. At times, it is indeed a journey of fear, anxiety, shame, sadness, isolation, and confusion. Yet, it is also a journey of excitement, of relief, empowerment, joy, and hope. It is a journey of great pride, pride in overcoming the challenges and the obstacles of coming out. Whether we view something positively or negatively is often a function of our mindset, how we choose to think about or react to a situation. The 12 individuals who investigate the land of Israel in this week's Parsha are often called spies, but this is a mistranslation of the Hebrew, which more aptly describes them as scouts exploring the land. There's a difference between a scout and a spy. Spy implies that these men were hidden observers, that their interaction was at a distance, particularly with other people. It implies that these individuals did not have the agency to engage with others. Scout implies a more active engagement, with the desire and ability to interact with others. Torah stories often have gaps in them, and our tradition fills in these gaps with what we call midrash. Joshua and Caleb were the two scouts who were confident that the Israelites would overcome any obstacle to living in the land of Israel. I'd like to think that they interacted with the various peoples living in the land at the time of their expedition. In doing so, they learned that things are not nearly as dark as we sometimes imagine them to be. In engaging with others, we learn that the other is not as gigantic as we initially thought them to be, and we ourselves are not nearly grasshoppers, the small, diminished beings that we initially thought ourselves to be. This is the midrash that I would write about this week's Torah portion. We are prisoners of our mindset, and to change our mindset is to change our reality. We're often held back by our shadow self, and to confront our shadow is to change our reality. We all seek to live our lives with pride, to live to our fullest potential, and each of us has had our share of life challenges that we've grappled with, or perhaps are still grappling with right now. As individuals, we have much to be proud of. We also seek to live to our fullest potential as Jews. These are turbulent times, with uncertain territory to explore in the coming months and years. We can choose to live in fear, anxiety, and doubt, or we can take pride in our Jewish heritage and journey. Some journeys take longer than a single lifetime to complete. The young Israelite nation, camped on the southern border of Canaan in Parshat Shalach, did indeed enter and inhabit the land of Israel one generation later. And the journey from the fall of the kingdom of Judea and the destruction of the Second Temple in Jerusalem in 70 CE to the establishment of the modern state of Israel in 1948 was a journey fraught with fear, anxiety, and doubt, as well as hope and excitement. A journey undertaken by 75 successive generations of Jews before it was completed. Finally, some among us, myself included, seek to live to our fullest potential as queer individuals. The terrain before us is also uncertain, although it is much more comfortable than it was 3 generations ago when homosexuals were targeted during the McCarthy hearings of 1954, or during the height of the AIDS crisis in the United States, just 1 generation ago, when gays were often shunned by society at large. LGBTQ individuals often lived their lives in fear and shame. Today, we celebrate that change of mindset and circumstance. The journey is not yet complete, and some in the queer community today are still the victims of hate crimes, harassment, and the reversion to an increasingly conservative judicial system. Nevertheless, it is a journey of pride. To live as an openly gay man without concern for discrimination is an extraordinary thing. And to speak about this journey from the bima of a synagogue and as a gay rabbi, that is something that I could only have dreamed of during my adolescence. Thank you, and Shabbat Shalom.
Oh, Rabbi Allen, beautiful teaching for this evening. Before we turn to Aleinu, I just want to share a quick kavanah. It says as follows. Aleinu is really about acknowledging a choice. Whether you realize it or not, at the end of the service, every time that we stand up, we say Aleinu l'shabech, it's upon us. It's upon us to take a choice, to take a position, and ultimately to choose. So this Iyun says, may we choose to be a blessing. May we choose to separate ourselves from insensitive actions and intolerant attitudes. May we choose to make our synagogue a place where all can unburden themselves without fear of ridicule or gossip. May we choose to form relationships that are caring and holy. And may we choose to lobby for adequate health care and medical coverage for those who are ill. I'll invite us to turn to page 586 at the bottom of the page, and I'll invite us again to rise in body or spirit. Page 586 at the very bottom, Aleinu l'shabech.
Aleinu l'shabech l'adon hakol, v'tet gilula liyotzeh breshit, shelo asar kegoyei ha'aratzot, ve'lo samanu kemishpachot ha'adama, shelo sam chelkeinu kahen, ve'gor aleinu kechol hamonam, v'anachnu korim u'mishtachavim u'modim, lifnei melech malchei hamlachim, hakadosh baruch hu.
Page 591.
V'nehemar v'haya Adonai v'melech al kol haaretz, v'yom hahu yeh Adonai echad, u'shemo echad.
Please be seated.
Heal me, O God, when I am lost. Show me the way through the shadows of the long night. Heal me, O God, when my heart is broken. Mend my soul and let me love again. Heal me, O God, when my rage consumes me. Teach me to express my disappointments with grace. Heal me, O God, when my life seems in shambles. Pick me up and dust off my clothes. Heal me, O God, when hope deserts me. Let me learn to have faith once again. Heal me, O God, when my dreams have not been realized. Open my eyes to the wonder that is still here. Heal me, O God, when my body is weak. Strengthen my will to live each day anew. Heal me, O God, and bless me each day, for with your help I know I shall be healed.
I'll invite those who are in mourning, those observing yahrzeit, to please rise. In our community, we're thinking of those who passed in recent months: Heather Abrams, David Amanoff, Susan Axelrod, Stephen Dickman, Judith Berry Emanuel, Harry Fadum, Michael Fagenbaum, Sharon Lee Goldblatt, Barbara Goldfarb, Harry Heller, David Carlin, Morris Kramer, Leonard Lauder, Ann Lieber, Jeanette Meyerowitz, Jeffrey Miller, Phyllis Cole Rowan, Gloria Sapiro, Ronald Seth Tempowski, Randy Wasserman, and Joel Wintner. We also mark the yahrzeits that occurred during the last week for Louis Atlas, William Bemorium, Charles Bookstaver, Thelma Center, Linda Dion, Dr. Harry Diner, Nathan Dobson, Stephen Dror, Sadie Eisner, Susan Nan Fichtelberg, Lee Friedman, Esther Green, Eddie Riskin Greenberg, Joab Heller, Morris Heller, Beatrice Kaplan, Helen Bernstein Katz, Henry LaBelle, Stephen McCrae, Grace Mazel, William Metzger, Morris Meyer, Jerry Monroe, Al Newberg, Max Olswang, Anna Schmidt, Louis Schwartz, Ted Tatcon, Irving Tromberg, Ben Tuft, Yetta, Gita Waldman, Herman Wiener, and Andrea Winow. In addition to those names that I just shared, is anyone saying Kaddish for anyone we did not mention? We'll invite the mourners to join us on page 598, and we'll invite those that, if your tradition is to rise alongside the mourners, to do so at this time. Yitkadal v'yitkadash Shemei Rabbah. בעלמא דברה חירותי וימליך מלכותי, בחייכון וביומכון ובחיי דכל בית ישראל, בעגלה ובזמן קריב ויאמרו
אמן.
יהי שמי רבא מברך לעולם ולעולמי עלמיה.
יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי דקודשה ברכו.
לילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה, תושבחתה ונחמתה, דאמירן בעלמא ויאמרו אמן. יהי שלמה רבא מן שמיה, וחיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל ויאמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ויאמרו amen. Zichronam livracha, may every one of their memories be for a blessing. All right, please be seated, but not you, my friends, because Rabbi Levin is going to offer our announcements for this evening. So just any place that it says me is obviously
It's where
not
I'm
me
going
anymore,
for
but
you.
you're going to do great. You're gonna do
Okay.
great. Thank you.
All right. First, just a reminder that the Summer of Geffen Love is kicking off with our annual members cocktail party 1 week from this Sunday. That's Sunday, June 29th, from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. And we hope that you'll all join us for a celebration of the Geffen family as we mark the 10th anniversary of Rabbi Dan's rabbinate here at Temple Adas Israel. It will be a meaningful celebration and an opportunity to acknowledge and thank our rabbi, his wife Lou, and their children for their spiritual leadership, friendship, and in my case, extraordinary mentorship during my years in seminary and thereafter. Thank you very much. We are planning distinct events in July and August to honor each of Rabbi Dan, Lou, and their children, Eva and Emmett, but it all kicks off next Sunday afternoon. So please RSVP to the Temple office or to our executive director, Shelley Lichtenstein, if you're able to make it. We're also putting together a tribute journal to mark this milestone anniversary in our synagogue's history. So if you haven't already done so, please do consider taking out an ad in this journal. It's a meaningful way to acknowledge all that Rabbi Dan and his family do for our community. The journal ad deadline is fast approaching, and the Temple office can help you with that. Please join us after tonight's service for an expanded oneg in the social hall. Please join us tomorrow for our Shabbat morning services, which begin at 10 a.m. Torah study will take place at 12 p.m. and will be led by Rabbi Dan. On Friday, June 27th, Marley Slotkin will share with us her reflections about her recent birthright trip. This Sunday, the book group with facilitator Ruth Joseph is scheduled for this Sunday, June 22nd at 11 o'clock. Contact Ruth to participate and receive the readings. And at 5 p.m., there's a temple art exhibit opening, including a wine and cheese reception. The artist is Harriet Fink, and we thank our temple curator, Ann Trotsky, and her helper, Howard Trotsky. Mondays, 10:30 a.m., our Niddah Mitzvah group will be led by Andrea Fagan. This Monday, June 23rd, Canasta is beginning, 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. So see the flyer to sign up. And Thursdays from 4 to 5 p.m., please join Dr. Bob Haar for a current events discussion group. That's it.
You did great. I think we're going to put you
Up here more.
on every conceivable level, but the announcements especially. Thank you. And thank you again to everybody working so hard on next Sunday. We're looking forward to that very much. And there was something else I was going to say, but I've forgotten all those things, other than my gratitude to you, Rabbi Levin, for your leadership in general and your leadership specifically tonight, and bringing, again, beautiful Torah, beautiful, important Torah for all of us to hear. Thank you so much for doing that, and for helping, as always, to lead us in our prayer, student cantor Will, which I know we had a goodbye originally, and then we have to say goodbye to you again. We have one more weekend with you. One more week.
Limited engagement.
Limited engagement, but we're going to enjoy every minute of it. So, Will, we have something to end with tonight?
We're going to close on page 627 with Shalom Aleichem. Shalom Aleichem, Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malchei HaMelachim, HaKadosh, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Baruch Huni LeShalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malchei HaMelachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shalom Aleichem, Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malchei HaMelachim, HaKadosh, HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
Beautiful choice of melody. And just out of curiosity, how many of you are familiar with that version of Shalom Aleichem? Yeah, I thought maybe not. A little bit. All right, so I actually remember distinctly the first time I heard it. This melody was composed by Debbie Friedman, Zichrona Livracha, which I think most of us in the room are familiar. And for those that knew Debbie at all in her life, knew that she was a leading voice, especially in the days where it wasn't so easy to be out. It wasn't so easy to say these things in the LGBTQ community. And she was a family friend of ours, so I remember actually when we used it at our Shabbat table for the first time. And it's a very different melody. Shalom Aleichem normally, right, is a much faster pace, much more uplifting. And like everything that Debbie composed, there was reason, there was logic behind it. And it's not the version that we use all the time, but in certain moments, especially on nights like this, it's lovely to bring her back into the room with all of us. So, beautiful choice tonight for sure. So I'll invite us now to rise as we turn to page 123 for Kiddush. Again, page 123. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu, v'shabahat kodsho b'ahava u'v'ratzon inchilanu, zikaron l'maaseh v'reishit, ki hu yom techila lemikrae kodesh, zecher l'tziat Mitzrayim, kivanu v'acharta, ve'otanu kidashta, mikol ha'amim, ve'shabat kodshecha, ve'ahava u'v'ratzon inchaltanu, baruch atah Adonai, mekadesh ha'shabbat.
Amen. L'chaim.
Chaim. And if I can ask Rabbi Levin to lead us in the Motzi.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz.
Amen.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Shalom.
Well, I can say it to everybody without having to
You
because
can.
I'm not chewing.